Classy, chic, cute. Well, these would be the nicer terms for these dainty, pretty looking sandwich cookies. But let me tell you, for the amateur or the beginner baker, these ones are pure terror. And this might seem like so easy, just 3 or 4 ingredients on the recipe. But trust me, it's a challenge, it's a skill, it's a test of your patience, and it's definitely a learning curve. And that is exactly why you should make Amoretti a part of your macaron making process. We have a variety of nut flours and extracts here at Amoretti that is going to make flavoring your shells or your filling easy peasy. This is the Amoretti Test Kitchen. I am Elizabeth and welcome to our Macaron 101 episode. Before I introduce a simple French method to make your French macarons, let me talk about the most common methods that's out there to make macarons. Usually, we have 3, starting with the French method, the Swiss method, and the Italian method. The French method is super simple. It is the most direct way to do it, but I feel like it's very personal. I feel that when you use the French method, the shells are a little more flimsier than when you use the other 2 methods, because the other 2 methods, the Swiss and the Italian, both of them use a stiffer meringue that is stabilized with heated sugar. So it is going to be a lot more sturdier and it gives fuller shells. So today I'm going to introduce to you a recipe that uses the French method, but let me warn you, because you get a recipe from me or you get it online, you're gonna do it at home and then you'll find it doesn't work. That's how it is for a macaron, because a macaron recipe gives you the tricks and tips and everything that you need to do, but when you make it at home, it doesn't work that way because it is so temperamental. Your oven temperatures can be different, and you always have got to weigh your ingredients when you make a macaron. So simple errors can throw off the balance of the recipe. So when you make a recipe and feel like it's not working, the problem is not that the recipe is not foolproof. It is because you need to find your comfort zone with making a macaron. So I'm going to introduce a simple recipe, try it at home, and if it doesn't work, try it again, because that's how you learn how to make a macaron. Before you start making your macaron, make sure you have all the ingredients prepped and ready. Also, make sure you have the baking tray, the piping bag, the piping tip, everything ready beforehand. So I have all my ingredients sifted and measured out. So our almond flour or our pistachio flour, all of it is super fine and it need not be sifted, but to make sure that you have that nice smooth top, I prefer sifting it once more. I have 100 grams of egg whites measured out. I would definitely go with fresh egg whites. I won't use the store-bought liquid egg whites because it doesn't give the same results always. So my go-to is always fresh egg whites, room temperature, of course. There it goes. And now we are going to start whipping this up. It's 100 grams of egg white. We're going to have the mixer running on low. And this is the time that we're going to drizzle in 80 grams of granulated white sugar. So once you see the egg whites becoming frothy and bubbly, it will look like foam, and that is the stage where you need to drizzle in the granulated sugar, and make sure you don't dump it all in at once, because you need to give it like a light drizzle so that it flows in a continuous stream into the egg whites. We're almost getting there. So now the egg whites are all foamy, and this is the part where we drizzle in the sugar in a continuous stream. There it goes. And give your meringue a bit of time to get whipped up. Don't like blast your mixer to high and just whip it up all at once. Go slow at first and then increase the speed. Once that's in, it's time to increase the speed. now we're on medium high. And I would just leave it at medium high and give it like around 8 to 10 minutes to get properly whipped up. In between, make sure that you keep checking on your meringue because you want to be very precise about the stage it is in. Right now it's a little droopy, it's not stiff yet, so we want glossy stiff peaks. So as soon as you have stiff peaks, cut it, like don't over whip it again. So I'm gonna watch out very carefully now, and you can see the streaks in the meringue forming, so that is like an indication that the meringue is going to be very stiff in a matter of moments. Let's check again. Yep, so this is what I was talking about. Stiff peaks, not droopy, standing up straight. So I've got 150 grams of confectioner's sugar or powdered sugar, and I'm going to mix in 90 grams of almond flour that is sifted once more. Even though I'm using Amoretti superfine almond flour, I sifted it once again just to make sure there are no lumps. And now we're going to give this a whisk so that everything is properly combined. Also, when you whip your meringue, if you're finding it hard to whip it up, and if it's not forming stiff peaks, you can always use cream of tartar, like a pinch. It's totally optional, but if you have cream of tartar on hand, you can always use a pinch of it. So I'm taking the stiff meringue out of the mixer, and it's time to mix in the almond flour and powdered sugar mix. So it goes right in. So there are some bakers who combine it in batches. I usually do it at once, and it has always been okay. And with macarons and meringues, it's always very temperamental. Once your meringue and nut flours are in the bowl, this is the time you can add flavoring. I'm using Amoretti Madagascar bourbon vanilla today, half teaspoon, and a drop of food color. You don't have to go a long way with colors when it comes to macarons. One little drop goes a long way. So just one drop for pastel colors, and if you want to do like a dark shell, I always feel it's better to do maybe like a chocolate shell with cocoa powder in it and then color it. If you want to make red, then it's easier to get the red tone, and if you want to like do a brownish one or like a greenish one also, or a bluish one, I always think like maybe a pecan shell or a hazelnut shell helps, so that you don't have to drop in a lot of food color. So now is the time you need to know the stage of macaronage. So macaronage is a process of mixing the flour with the meringue, and you just need to keep mixing it until all the flour and the powdered sugar is mixed in with the meringue, and it's one consistent mix. So keep mixing it like this. So usually I just do this a little vigorously. I'm just doing it slow so that you can see. The process is actually done to beat out all the air in there, and now you should know the stage at which you should stop mixing. So what we are looking for is the consistency in which you can do a figure of 8 with your batter. So we're not there yet. You have to keep mixing it. Now the batter has begun to flow. So we need to watch out to see if it's flowing like lava in a continuous flow, like not stopping but just flowing like a ribbon in there. So we are almost there. One final mix, and now you can see it's flowing in continuous ribbons. So this is the stage we are looking for. I have a piping bag fitted with a round tip. You can do like a small round tip or a big one, but I always prefer a medium one. And you can use a glass to hold the piping bag up straight but I like doing it with hands, so that's how I'm doing it today. But a glass is always easier. So it's pretty easy to do a dual tone. Once you start mixing and you don't see any flour or meringue like not mixed in, then that's the state where you can like divide the batter into two, color each one, and then fill it into separate piping bags, and then fill all the separate piping bags into one big piping bag, and that's how you do dual tones or multiple tones. Now comes the most soothing part. We have the batter ready to pipe, and also we have some stencils that I got took printouts of, so you can find a ton of them online. You can download and just print them if you're a beginner, or you can just freehand them. I love freehanding, but if you want to use a stencil, please go for it. Now we have snipped the tip and we're gonna go pipe. That's how you do it. Pipe a dollop, end with a swirl so that you don't have ends poking up. We're done piping out the shell, and immediately after we have the bang part of it. So we're gonna bang, bang, bang. Keep banging. You can see air bubbles popping. You can also do this. You can drop it on your counter just like that. Anyways, it's gonna be loud. It's gonna be really loud. So make some noise. You want all that air bubbles out of there. And finally, still if there are air bubbles left, go in with a toothpick or like a skewer and break it. Or you can even use like a cookie scribe and pop the air bubbles. You can go in, you can use a toothpick, you can pop the air bubbles out of it and leave it to dry. And if you want to add like sprinkles, like this one here, this particular macaron has sprinkles baked into it. You can always do that. This is the time to sprinkle, dust, put in like slivers of almonds or any other topping that you want to go in the shell. So my macaron was set aside and it was in the sunlight. Like I just put it near the window. You can put it in any spot of your house and just dry it out. So I put it near the window so it's easier. So it's dried, it's looking perfect, it's not glossy anymore, it's matte finished, and then look at that, it doesn't stick. So you can see it doesn't come off on your fingers at all. So that's what we're looking for, like a thin, nice film on top. I'm gonna pop it in the oven. I have preheated my oven to 300F. So what we are looking for is a temperature between 285 and 325 Fahrenheit. So it is so different with different ovens. So I would always suggest that you use an oven thermometer. So if you don't have one, just try multiple times with around 300 Fahrenheit and see which works for you. If it's too hot, your shells are going to like crack, and if it's like too low, it'll spread out. So different things can happen according to the temperature of your oven. So make sure you find your comfort zone with that too. Every time I have a batch of macarons in the oven, I always say a silent prayer, because I know it's going to be like dependent upon a lot of factors that it bakes properly with its tiny little feet, not spreading, not cracking, not getting hollow. So it's always a prayer for the macarons. I'm gonna pop it in the oven now. While our macarons are in the oven and getting baked, let's talk a little bit about the shells and the flavoring and the coloring of it. You can make a variety of flavored shells with our nut flours. You can use the classic one, all almond, and go with our almond flour. And then if you want to incorporate like a little bit of pistachio, you can do that. And they taste amazing. Like these green ones here, it's the same ones here, and these green ones, these are pure pistachio shells. And you can try hazelnut, pecan. We have all those nut flours, so you can mix it with your almond flour. You have like a lot of recipes online where you can find shells that's flavored with pistachio, hazelnut, or pecan, and it's a variation to the classic almond one. Also, you can go wild with flavoring your shells. You can do like a classic vanilla flavor, or maybe you can do like a butterscotch or like a burnt sugar one. So the options are unlimited. You can maybe you can go crazy with flavors and do like cotton candy or cheesecake. So we have a lot of extracts that you can use in the shells. Same way, you can also use like cocoa powder to flavor your shells. You can have chocolate shells, and these ones are chocolate shells. These ones right here, these are chocolate shells, and maybe if you mix a bit of our coffee artisan with it or coffee extract with it, you can have mocha shells. So these ones here, these are mocha. It's chocolate and coffee. And the coloring of the shells, I always like pale pastel colors for my shells, but always that's not the case. You want like dark themed shells. So for that, you can always use food color, and I always prefer using natural ones. But when it comes to macarons, you don't want a lot of liquid incorporated in there. So you will have to go with gel colors, and most of the time they're not fully natural, but you can always darken the shells with adding a bit of cocoa powder and then going from there to using gel colors on top of that. So that's another option. I like these dual toned ones. So these are made when you stick 2 batches of colored macaron batter into one big piping bag and swirl it in together. So piping that one is kind of easy. Also, there's another easy technique that you can use. You can use a piping bag and you can streak the piping bag with food color inside, pour in your batter and then pipe away. That will also give you the tie-dye effect. Also, when you pipe the shells, you can use stencils, you can use your own imagination and come up with different shapes. So once you have like mastered the basic recipe, you can actually explore like shapes. So these are hard ones, these are teeny tiny hard ones. I love making them, and you can go wild. You can make snowmans, you can make all sorts of shapes and sizes with macarons. The sky is the limit. So I love those trending macarons. Those are like, you know, the current cartoon characters, like the trending ones, like maybe the Squid Game ones. The Squid Game ones are like, you know, so trending right now. So we have a lot of options out there. So once you know that you have a foolproof recipe in hand, that is the point where you start exploring the wild side of making macarons. You can go crazy with it. Let me tell you about the baking of the macarons. So I always feel that silken mats are so much easier and reliable when it comes to macarons. So the perforated ones, it actually bakes it pretty well with a very nice bottom, like there won't be any crumples. I just want to show you how like a bottom looks, which is perfectly smooth without any crumples in there. So if you use like a parchment paper, it might crumple up and like create creases in the bottom part. So you don't want that happening. Go for a silken mat. It's not mandatory, but it's always the preferred method. If you bake it right, it'll just come off so easily that you don't even have to tug at it or anything. It just slips off the mat just like that. All of this, you know, just comes off just like that. Now let me talk about the feet of the macaron. It is the classic look of the macaron with a slightly domed top and a tiny little feet at the bottom. The place where you can go wrong with macarons is that when the feet spreads, when you have a hollow shell, when it breaks, when it crumples up. So the places that you can go wrong are like umpteen number of it, but if you get it right, this is exactly how it'll look with a tiny feet, a doomed top, and a smooth little cookie. There you go. Now that we're done with the baking part, let's get to the most exciting part. We are going to decorate these beauties. I'm going to show some cute little techniques to decorate your macarons and fill them. So I like to decorate the shells first and then do the filling part. So let's get on with it. The first technique is to use luster dust or highlighter colors and mix it with alcohol or water or piping gel, but I personally prefer alcohol because it just evaporates away and it dries out so quickly. So I'm just using clear alcohol and the highlighter paint. So it's a like rustic gold color that I like. So just a stroke and you're done. That's the easiest way you can decorate a shell. There you go. Done. And I like that simple stroke. It's so classy and it's so simple. The second technique that I'm going to use is to create a drizzle. So I have some melted candy melts here and I'm going to work quickly with it because it dries out so fast. So I'm going to pop it into a piping bag, cut the tip, and if you want a thin drizzle, make a small cut and go bigger if you want like a thicker one. So I'm going to drizzle it now. And you can do like any pattern with it. Maybe put some sprinkles on top. So you need to do this pretty quickly because it dries out very easily. Here we have the chocolate drizzled macaron shells and we have the sprinkles looking all pretty in there, and this is also an easy way to decorate your shells before you fill your macarons. So the third technique I'm going to use is to color my shells, like create a floral pattern on it with food color. So I have a couple of food colors in here, and if you want to lighten it, like if you want to dilute it, you can always use alcohol. It works well. So I have a bit of different colors in here and I'm going to show you how I'm going to create a floral pattern in there. Now we are going to make the little macaron sandwich cookies, and for sandwiching it, I'm using white chocolate ganache here today. You can go with any flavored ganache that you like, milk chocolate, dark chocolate. Also, you can use our oil-soluble extracts to flavor your chocolate and make a flavored ganache, and that's actually amazing. So today, I'm just going to use white chocolate ganache. You can go with buttercream too if you like, and create a little dam with a center. So I can fill in a different flavor in the center, and I'm using raspberry coulis today. There you go, just like that. And I personally love the combination of white chocolate and raspberry. The sweetness of white chocolate complements the tartness of the raspberry. So you sandwich it just like this. Ta-da! There you have the perfect macaron, all filled, all decorated, all yummy. And honestly, you should pop this in the refrigerator overnight, and that is when it actually matures and the flavor develops. So now it's kind of like crunchy and still a little bit crispy. So if you pop it in the refrigerator, the flavors seep in from the filling and it makes the shell soft. So it'll be very, very soft and chewy when you take it out tomorrow. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to pop it in the fridge. Before that, I'm going to tell you about one great option that you have if you want to fill the core of your macarons. So same way, I'm going to do a dam of chocolate ganache and then use our cremades. I was delighted when I came across this option because we have a ton of cream-based premium syrups, so that you can just, pump into the center of the macaron. And this one we have here is vanilla cremade, and just 1 or 2 drops, and that's all you need. So when you refrigerate the macaron, the center stays liquid and the chocolate actually sets. So when you bite into it, it actually oozes out and the flavor is amazing. So that's one easy option that you've got to decorate and fill your macaron. So I'm gonna just finish doing this and pop it all in the fridge. So we have a ton of flavors that we can use for filling in the core. I personally love our Irish cream. It is so nice. So make sure you just drop in 1 or 2 drops, that's it, because it goes a long way. I love how simple these nude colored ones look. It's just a gold stroke and filled to perfection. Now that it's gonna rest in the fridge, I'm gonna talk to you about a few of the options that I made ahead of time. So this is the shell of the macaron is butterscotch flavored and it's filled with marshmallow flavored buttercream. I used our marshmallow artisan for it. This is milk chocolate vanilla with a center of our caramel syrup, and this is our chocolate shell filled with milk chocolate ganache and a center of raspberry coulis. This is our flavored white chocolate ganache. I used a peppermint flavor for this. This is so seasonal, it's perfect for Christmas. So that's an amazing flavor combination that we can do with our peppermint extract. Then we have the pista shells. I filled it with dark chocolate ganache and a center with our caramel cremedy. And this is again vanilla shell, dark chocolate ganache filled with raspberry coulis. So you can actually play around with flavors. The sky is the limit. Go wild. I've seen people use flavorings like bubblegum and cotton candy for macarons. They're all so amazing. So we have a ton of flavors that you can get online, and you can play around with it and come up with your own flavor combinations. And these are something that you'll fall in love with. Once you perfect your macaron recipe, that's the time that you want to go playing around with flavors. Make sure that you stick to 4 points when you're doing your macarons. That is, 1, make sure that you form the perfect stiff peaked meringue. 2, make sure that the macaronage is at a perfect figure of 8 or flowing like lava, ribboning in there. And the 3rd point, make sure that you dry your macarons properly so that it doesn't stick to your fingers, forms a matte film on top. And 4, the final point, the oven temperature. Make sure the temperature is between 285 to 325 Fahrenheit, somewhere in between, which is perfect for your oven. Hope you had fun watching our Macaron 101. There's a ton of products online at our website on Amoretti.com that you can buy to pep up your macaron game. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel, comment, like the video, and tell us how you liked it. Also, we are on social media at Amoretti on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. Check it out and make sure you make lots of macarons. So now it's time to taste test these macarons. And I have someone special who makes our videos look so beautiful, our videographer Joss. He grew up eating macarons. He is from France and he loves macarons, so I think he's a perfect person to taste test them. So Joss, come over. So which one do you want to try? Take off your mask, please. You want to eat them.
Hold on. Okay.
What was that? There's a motion sensor?
Yeah, it's on the camera.
Okay. So Joss is trying to be my height.
I want to try this one.
Oh, you want to try that one? Go ahead.
Color.
Go ahead. Oh,
Thank you.
he likes 2 colors. So. I want to try one too. Okay, I'll try the pistachio and.
Approved. French approved.
Yes.
Cheers.
Yes, I love my macarons any day, so thank you, Joss. And really, I hope you guys try it out too. It's amazing. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And thank you for watching all of this at the Amoretti Test Kitchen. Oh my, no stealing, Joss.